In this lesson, we're going to add web servers to EveNG. The first step is to download Ubuntu server image. I already have EveNG started, so I will go to Google and search for EveNG Linux images. Press on the first link. And here we have the download links for Linux images. We will open this. Then here we have all these Linux images that can be downloaded for EveNG. In this course, we will use Ubuntu Server 22.4. You can press on this, then download as a zip. But I will not be downloading this because I already have it downloaded, so I will cancel. And here on my downloads, I already have it downloaded, so I will extract the file here. Now that it finished extracting, the next step is to upload this Ubuntu server to EveNG. So again, we will use WinSCP, and type the IP address of EveNG, which is already over here. So I will just log in, type the username and password, and then go back to this QEMU directory. And over here, I will drag this Linux Ubuntu server to QEMU directory and say OK. And wait for this to move. Now it's done, and we can see over here the Linux Ubuntu 22 server is added. We can go back to the browser and try to go to EveNG by typing the IP address. Give the username and password, then press on this lab, scroll down and open. We will right click, add a new node, type Linux, and here we can see the name of the server we just added, Ubuntu 22.4 server. We will scroll down and save, and then add a network. It's going to be management cloud, and call it home network. Save and connect the server to the internet. And finally, we will start the server. Then open the server and wait for it to be up. Now it's asking us to log in. We can check the credentials from the EveNG page. If we scroll down over here, we can see the root username is root and the password is test123. So we will go back and type root and test123. The server is working. We were able to log in. The third step now is to install Apache 2 on the server. We will use PuTTY for that. We will go and open PuTTY. And we need the IP address of the web server. So we will say IP address. The IP address is 192.168.0 and 102. So we will type 192.168.0.102 and accept. The username is root. The password is test123. So now we can close this and make this bigger. Before we start installing Apache, we first need to update the server. So we will type sudo apt update and wait for the server to update. Now it finished updating, so we will start installing Apache and write sudo apt install Apache 2 and enter. It's asking us, do you want to continue? We say yes, and it completes installing Apache 2. Now that it finished, we can check the status of Apache by typing service Apache 2 status and say enter. And here we can see it says active and running. So now we can check that. We will go to the browser and type the IP address of the web server, which is 192.168.0.102. And here we can see Ubuntu's Apache 2 default page, so it works. The last step is to add a custom HTML page. So we will change this default page and add a custom page, which is this one over here. We have 3 web servers. The first web server's web page is this web server 1. So we will change this default page and put this one instead. To do this, we first have to go back to Ubuntu and we have to check the directory where this page is located. So we will say ls var www and then html. And here we can see this index.html. We need to change this index.html to our own index.html. So we will use WinSCP again. Add the new session. Type the IP address of the web server 192.168.0.102. Username is root. Password is test123. Say yes. Then again we will go to this directory var www.html. We have this index.html that we need to change. And on my PC, I will go to the directory where I saved the new index.html. So D drive and first web server. And here is the index.html. I will delete this one, say OK, and then move this new page over here and wait for it to be copied. It's already done, so we will just try to refresh, and here we have the new web page. Now if we go back to the server and try to check the IP address, we can see that the IP address is 192.168.0.102, but we need to change this because the IP address we will be using in this lab is 10.10.10.1. So we will change the IP address of this server to this IP address and change the gateway IP address to this 10.10.10.200, which is going to be the IP address of the F5 interface connected to these servers. Interface IP addresses in this server are saved in this file, so if we read it, we can see that this interface now is set to DHCP, so we need to change this to a static IP address. So first we will nano to this file, type nano, and here we will change this DHCP, so we will go there. Then type addresses, colon, then add dash, and the new IP address, which is 10.10.10.1/24, and then we will add the gateway IP address, gateway 4, and the gateway IP address is 10.10.10.200. Now this is done. Before we save, we have to make sure those two are on the same line. So now we will exit, yes, and say enter. And if we read the file again, we can see that the content changed. Now we will reboot so it can get the new IP address. And this is finished. So I'll go back here and open it and wait for the server to be up. The server is up again. We will type the username, password, and try to check the IP address again. IP address. And now we've got the new IP address, which is 10.10.10.1. And if we want to check the gateway IP address, we can say IP route. We can see that the network 10.10.10 is going through this 10.10.200, which is the gateway we set. Now this web server is ready. We will just turn it off for now and cut this link over here, and we will rename it. So we'll edit and change the name to server 1 and save it, put it on the side, and add a new node, which is going to be the big IP we created before, and save it and add the network on top. We will connect the big IP to the internet and also connect it to the first server. We will also add another network, which is going to be our management network. So we will call it management interface. It's going to be the 172.16.0, which is cloud 1. Save it, put it on the side, and connect it to the big IP. And move this server 1 to the side so you can add server 2 and server 3 over here too. In this lesson, we added one web server to our lab. You can use the same setup for the other 2 web servers. In the next video, we will have this setup ready, and we will start with configuring the F5. And the HTML pages of server 2 and server 3 are available below the video. You can also find the .yaml file for the interface IP address setup for all the 3 web servers.